Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a hit. Bitcoin did get its move. However, the retracement has been strong, back down to about 89,500. Ethereum down approximately 4%, right around that $3,200 mark. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, some of them deep in the red. We have AVAX, Aptos, ICP, and many others coming down to lower levels. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project, one layer one, that is at the bottom of the range and hasn't yet expanded to the upside, and that project is called Celestia. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alphas, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the general market. We do see that the market cap, is kind of, fluctuating here. We're kind of going sideways right around that $3 trillion mark. Trading volume has come down while we were doing this sideways action. And all of a sudden, maybe we could be getting a spike of volume, and hopefully it is to the upside, right? Obviously, we want to continue to the upside, but in the meantime, I am seeing a bit of indecision, particularly at the 4-hour level, maybe even on the daily level. Like, I don't expect major daily pullbacks yet. However, we need to prepare for that possibility. Guys, join me live tonight at 8 p.m. I definitely was sharing my strategy in the last 2 days as to what I'm going to be doing, how to play this market and how to play the volatility. So feel free to join the Discord, feel free to join the live streams, because we definitely start looking at strategy and how we can play the market in a proper way, because ultimately we need to be prepared here, guys. Like, I'm not saying that we're going to come down for a major dip here, but if we do, because we don't know, right? Probability is that one way or another, one day we will get a 25% drop on Bitcoin from its top, and ultimately that would entail that the altcoins will take a bit of a hit, and we would be able to buy the dips pretty good. Now, at the end of the day, this hasn't been a big dip, guys, right? Altcoins are still holding up pretty steady, so we'll definitely come up with that strategy. Now, of course, in today's video, I'm going to talk about Celestia, but I want to also talk about Bitcoin as a leading indicator, like I usually do, because Bitcoin showing strength is good, generally speaking. Bitcoin going sideways is good, generally speaking, but Bitcoin coming down makes risk on assets such as altcoins, mid caps and low caps, they definitely start fluctuating and to the downside. So this is something that we got to anticipate going forward, is that Bitcoin has already ran up to 90,000 and change, doing very well today, right? Obviously. But ultimately, if we are going to come down for that 25% dip, we need to be prepared. All right, let's scrape through the top 100 just to get a sense of what this market is up to. And then we'll take a look at Bitcoin, and then we'll take a look at Celestia. We got Dogecoin still looking okay. Is that a bull flag structure? It definitely is. Remember that bull flag that I identified here on Bitcoin. If you were on the Discord today, I gave you that entry on Bitcoin really early. That 1 hour bull flag definitely broke out. But again, guys, if you get in on the 1 hour structure, get out on the 1 hour structure, and have that, take profit, because right now we're getting that pullback and erasing all those gains. Okay, again, Dogecoin looking pretty good, XRP kind of going sideways, and a lot of projects are going sideways. Some of them are dipping slowly, like Cardano rolling over just a little bit with that bias to the downside, including Avalanche. You can see after a nice little run, we're getting that slant to the downside. Toncoin, Sui's going sideways, doing pretty good, up 2.7%. It's looking pretty strong, but we can expect slight retracements, especially on the 1 hour, guys. That's totally fine. Pepe up 33%, guys. Beast of a project, beast of of a meme coin, definitely one of the OGs that is going to be lingering around. 91% in the last 7 days. Good on you if you have a bag. Hold that bag because it's looking pretty good. Near protocol going sideways, and we see a lot of projects doing that. Another one, 33% to the upside, dog with hat. BitTensor, a lot of people are keeping an eye on BitTensor, kind of going sideways right now. And as you go down, we have Caspa retracing down 11% here, guys. You know, Caspa has been showing a bit of weakness in the last little bit, but before we move to the upside, expect some of that volatility and catch those bids, because ultimately, if I think Caspa is going to be reaching a critical level where risk to reward ratio is absolutely healthy, and then we should start DCAing. So keep an eye on Caspa. At the end of the day, I expect a continuation up for Caspa. Just keep in mind, you know, it's a billion market cap. It is fairly large nowadays. Okay, so think about that. Render, bull flag, definitely right there. You can see that impulsive move sideways, price action, likely to get a continuation eventually. That structure is a tradable structure. If it does continue, it's a great impulsive move to the upside. If it breaks below the structure, cut yourself off and expect that dip to continue to the downside. Arbitrum looking pretty bad right now. It's still in a retracement. A lot of projects are still in that retracement. Immutable X, VeChain, Floki looking like a beast, definitely up 61% in the last 7 days, 8% for the day, which is good. BitTech token is looking really good. I like exchange tokens looking strong. I want to see that, guys. I want to see strong exchange tokens, because ultimately that's an indication that people are buying into exchange tokens. And the only reason usually is because they're getting active on that exchange. And if there's an inflow or a spike in price, it's because ultimately people are buying and traders are getting involved. And that for me is a sign of strength for the market in general. So I'm keeping an eye on exchange tokens. And of course, today we're talking about Celestia. Celestia, in my opinion, in comparison to a lot of the other projects, is at a level where really it hasn't left the station at all. Like no bids. So it's either it's going to be the greatest entry or the worst entry. And for me, it's about looking for risk to reward ratio, ultimately. And of course, I'm going to take a look at that chart and let you know what I think there. Phantom retracing a little bit. Phantom has done very well. And right now, it's still within structure, still doing okay. However, guys, it's showing a little bit of weakness in the last little while. If you're bullish on Phantom and the upgrade and what Phantom has to offer, I think now is not a bad time to start DCAing. I'm not saying go all in. I'm just saying you're buying in at a good level of structural support where you can take a good entry for a DCA. Maybe use a 30-30-40 rule type of thing. But ultimately, you should keep an eye on it. It's been dipping a little bit here, giving you an entry. And the same thing with Thorchain. I think Thorchain has been doing okay as well with that dip and still within a healthy level to DCA with some strength. Okay, so we see a lot of good opportunities, but at the same time we're seeing a lot of strength as well. Like even Ondo going sideways is a sign of strength. We have Mantra going sideways still, guys. You know, am I going to get a good entry on this? I'm going to wait patiently before I take any chance on that one. What else? Algorand going sideways, and you know the market is giving us opportunity, but we got to be very selective in the last little while because the market has been running, and the fear and greed is very up there. Right now we're probably above the 80% mark in greed, which means that getting into fresh longs at the current moment for a big picture move is quite dangerous. I would be going on the lower time frames and finding those entries, those scalps, getting in, getting out on the 1 hour, 15-minute type of thing, and then ultimately waiting to see a 4-hour signal that the market is going bullish again. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Obviously, this is the Celestia chart, and of course, we're going to take a look at Celestia, but I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator because if Bitcoin continues showing a strength, you know, we still have hope that eventually there's going to be a massive rotation, and to be honest, we're still gonna have a massive rotation into the altcoin market. If Bitcoin keeps on showing strength, we're going to attract more capital into the market. Retail is going to be coming in, and when we see that rotation from Bitcoin to altcoins, there's going to be a lot more capital to get rotated across the market, and we'll see those altcoins run. But in the meantime, you gotta admit Bitcoin did a great job, and currently it's battling the 1.618 extension. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So guys, hitting the extension level is quite bullish, no doubt. It's great. It's a great move to the upside. It's something that we can be proud of. It's something where, you know, definitely carrying our portfolio to higher levels. The problem is that the level of greed is not really it's not somewhere I'm willing to take fresh longs. And that doesn't mean that I'm not bullish. That means that I have my entries. I have my bags packed. I've had my bags packed. Okay, now is not the time for me to take on more risk. I already have risk. And I'm luckily I'm in profit on all that risk. So really it's risk-free at the current moment. So I'm enjoying myself. I want to enjoy this process to the point that, you know, I might even consider taking profit in just a little bit, scraping off the top, maybe 10% here and there, which I am considering and I have been doing, in preparation for any dips. Just think about the last 48 hours, guys. We had a bit of red. Wouldn't it be nice to have a 10% bag of spot just to be able to go and buy of stable, just to go buy and accumulate on the lows, right? And that's the reality. And now I do feel like Bitcoin definitely has been showing a lot of strength with the Bitcoin dominance and all of that. But ultimately, I'm expecting Bitcoin to take a break, whether it be sideways or maybe a retracement of some sort. But I want to see Bitcoin take a break a little bit. Now, it doesn't have to happen. And if it doesn't happen, great. I'm happy. I have my bags packed, like I mentioned. However, if it does retrace, I don't want to be left there with my mouth open, right? I want to be ready to go with some capital, some dry powder to deploy. So the daily's not giving me any edge whatsoever. You can see it's a green candles, many green candles, lots of strength, lots of volume. We're doing good. Hitting the 1.618 extension at about 90,600. In fact, today we peaked at about 93,400. Guys, that's a really good target. We've done well. Now, if we start looking at lower time frames, this is where I'm thinking is the opportunity. It's to see what happens on the 4-hour. Okay, now if we look at, we just made a higher high while we're seeing the momentum make a lower high right here. And it's going to be a lot more evident on the 1-hour, because today on the Discord, I did make it very, very clear that the 1-hour was breaking out for a nice move to the upside. And we did get that. But because I found the setup on the 1-hour, that means that I also have to find my exit or my TP on the 1-hour. If I find my setup on the 4-day and I see 4-day bullishness, then if I look for my entry on the 1-hour, I can hold it for the rest of, you know, the 4-day or the daily time frame to get bullish. But at this current moment, I don't see that. I see the daily very up there, overbought, very frothy at the golden pocket extension. I see the 4-hour, like you can see right here, showing signs of divergence, higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum. I do see a bit of indecision here. We could continue to the upside, and like I mentioned, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to be left without dry powder, guys. So this is the thing. You have to, as a trader, you got to be prepared for all case scenarios. Of course, sideways price action, rallies, and dips, right? Those are your 3 scenarios. Right now, I think that it's a valid scenario for you to prepare for a bit of a dip. Even if it happens in a couple of weeks, it's okay. Scrape a bit of profit on your top gainers. That way you have that capital, that dry powder to deploy. Okay, so right now, I am not crazy about the 4-hour. It's showing weakness. I've been calling this weakness for the last, maybe 24 hours since yesterday. I've been calling an issue. I've been saying that, that we should be collecting capital for about 48 hours now. And I still feel that, because look at the altcoin market. The altcoin market is not showing strength like Bitcoin. And it's very clear that at this current moment, Bitcoin is definitely dominating. Now, if we get into the 1-hour, it's even more clear to me that this is not a time to take risk, even if it's on a 4-hour move. You can see higher highs on the price action, lower highs on many. This is triple drives of divergence happening here, many drives of divergence, and I'm not interested in taking risk. Now, I did take some risk into this play right here, into this bull flag that I made very clear on the Discord. Guys, feel free to join, because whenever I see setups or anything interesting, I do give you my 2 cents. But like I said, if we get in on the hourly, we also have to get out on the hourly. Okay, so a measured move should have taken you to right around this level. This was the level to take a bit of profit, trail up the stop loss, defend the gains, defend the initial investment. Now we're back testing the previous high. That's pretty good. It's not bad, but look at the momentum, right? We made a lower high on this momentum. I'm not crazy about that. I'm not crazy about that. We got really overbought twice, extreme overbought conditions twice, with massive expansions twice on the hourly. Could we come down to get oversold? Volatility, let me show you the orange line. Let me zoom in here. Look at the orange line. It's pushing down. You can backtest this. Every time we see the orange line reset itself to oversold conditions, guys, we get a bit of a dip. So I want to see what happens here. I want to see the 1-hour show me strength. I want to see the 4-hour starting to show me strength. And obviously the daily, the way the daily looks regards to momentum, you can see it's quite frothy here. And hitting that extension level and seeing it so green like this, I feel like I would rather take profits and rotate into projects that are still at the bottom of the range with the healthiest risk to reward ratio. Why? Because on red days, they're not going to dump that hard. And not only that, I know for a fact that I'm buying bottom bottoms, not buying tops, and becoming exit liquidity just in case Bitcoin decides to come down for a healthy, 25% retracement, a breather. That's all it would be considered. It wouldn't even be that bad, 25%. Now, I know the markets will look red. I know new retail markets would be, really devastated, but those of us have been around, we feel no pain. A 25% dip on Bitcoin would translate into a decent dip on the altcoins. And guess what we're going to be doing, guys? We're going to be buying the dip. All right. So keep all of this in mind. I think this is a very good mindset to have in the next little while. We'll talk about it more in the live stream, and I'll show you some more metrics, fear and greed and liquidation heat maps and all that kind of stuff. Let's take a look at Celestia. What's going on with Tia? Tia's on my watch list. Tia and Arweave. I think those two projects at the current moment are very undervalued, and I'm interested in building a margin position here. And I think I'm going to start doing that right now. And the reason being for Celestia is that we're at the bottom of the range again. And this is very important to me because the risk to reward ratio improves significantly as we get closer to the previous lows. Now, I'm very aware that we can come down for a lower low. I'm very aware that we can fall through this volume gap. If you look at the previous price action, the only level of support that we have before this last bottom is right down here at the point of control, where we do have another node of volume to act as support. That's a huge dip, guys. That's a pretty big dip. So for me, it's about waiting for this as close as possible to this level right here, maybe around $4.20, $4.20, and then at that level I start to measure if we did come down to this support zone, what does the dip look like? Ultimately, let's say 420 right around here to down here, you're looking at a 44% dip. This is why for me margin is more important. Margin is important because if I go on a 2x with lots of margin and a decent position size, I won't get liquidated. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with holding negative. In fact, if we did come down lower than my entry, I would be happy to deploy more capital in DCA because I'm looking for a low leverage, long-term hold that eventually could turn into a really bullish thing. But why am I talking so bearish here, guys, when reality is we're still within a structure? Look at all this volume. Lots of goons in here buying dips and accumulating, waiting for a move to the upside. I know there was a bit of an issue early on with tokens being released and unlocked, which, guys, I'm expecting. But could we expect Celestia eventually to catch up to other projects, like even catching up to Say, because Say already moved up? Sui, maybe, Aptos, maybe, and seeing it catch up to some of these new L1s, I think Celestia deserves to get some of that attention eventually once the fundamentals or the tokenomics kind of cool off, because of course a lot of people were worried about those token unlocks. So I still feel like this is a viable zone because of risk to reward ratio. It does look like a complex inverse head and shoulder. Okay, let me describe why I say that. It's because we have a head right here in the middle, okay, and we have multiple shoulders both on the left side and the right side. That is classified as a complex inverse head and shoulder. Once we start breaking the neckline, then it starts to look good for an expansion to the upside. We have not received an expansion out of this structure yet. So what I'm waiting for is a break of the structure. Now, if you look at the highs, which high do we need to break? And this is a bit of an issue because we have a diagonal resistance line, and the diagonal resistance basically is defined by all these tops. 1, 2, 3. Which top do we need to break to get bullish, to consider it a break of the neckline? That's the hard part right now. So I'd rather do this. I'd rather look at where is the majority of the volume and where does the volume end. You can see that right around $6.72, right around here, the majority of the volume ends. Okay, the majority of volume ends, which means that we can snap to higher levels real quick because of that empty space that exists above. So what I'm going to do on the daily is just highlight the importance of this zone. Okay, just put that right into here. In fact, I can even tighten up this horizontal. Let's make sure that it doesn't line up with anything else. Actually, let me see. Let the volume profile calibrate. I think it's okay. And I would like to drag it down just a little bit so that's in confluence with the volume a little bit, right into there. If we can break above that, it's interesting because you can see after that we don't have much volume. Yes, we've got 2 spikes of volume right here and this top right here. It could also be a level of resistance, but I think the majority of the move, the majority of the resistance, or the majority of the issue that it may have, the price may have to actually get through the volume gap, has already diminished by breaking above all this volume. Okay, so that's the emotional level. Now, I also want to ask yourself, why is it getting so much volume right in here, right? There's a battlefield happening. Buyers and sellers are battling. We got good volume coming into here. Eventually, we're going to expand. And the question is, are we going to expand up or down? And the only way we can really decide is look at the market conditions, guys. Look at what the market has been doing in the last little while. In my opinion, Celestia needs to catch up a little bit. And based on the catch-up strategy or the catch-up theory, we could expect Celestia really to catch up to some of those L1s that I've been talking about. Okay, so risk to reward is healthy. Now, if we look at the oscillators, let's look at momentum, and then we'll look at a setup here on the daily, because I feel like setups right now have to be done on the big picture on the daily. You can see we're stuck in the chop zone here, sideways, very, very sideways price action. Okay, to the point that the momentum is pushing down. Momentum is pushing down. I would like to see what happens when the orange line reaches oversold. I want to see the bearish response. How strong are these bears? What kind of low are we going to anticipate if we get down to this level again? I'm curious. And if you look at the trend oscillator, let's go see the trend oscillator to see how these expansions are playing out. I see a little choppiness too. You can see very sideways here. Bearish and bulls are definitely battling it out. So there's no real edge here on the trend oscillator other than, the multiple drives of bullish divergence that we've had in a very bearish condition. Okay, very bearish condition, and we expect eventually to get into some nice bullish conditions as we have had in the past. So we just got to be patient for that. And we're creating that pivot point structure right now. You can see that very clearly, rounded bottom. And if you look at the momentum, the reality is the purple line hasn't even gotten overbought for a good while. So we're due for that as well. We're due for a bullish response. We're overdue, guys. We're overdue. And right now we're seeing a bit of negativity in the market, and this is why we're seeing Celestia stay within structure but fall to the bottom of the structure. So the theory here is this. If you compare this to projects that have already gotten their expansion, they left volume gaps below that probably they might fall through a little bit, okay? But Celestia hasn't, and it's still within structure, which means that its dip shouldn't be that bad. Now, it's only 11%, 13%, whereas we can expect bigger dips if there was volume gaps below falling through volume gaps. So risk to reward is healthy, okay? So that's that. Let's take a look at the setup. Like right now, hypothetically, if you get right into here and you put a stop loss, let's say at this bottom, and you're right now looking at risk to reward ratios 2.6 to 1, but what about your TP? Where would you take profit? I would consider, taking profit right around here at the next level of resistance. I would be interested, of course, right there at the measured move. Even right here is not bad because you can see you're at a 3-to-1 ratio. And ultimately, I would also be concerned of is trying to improve my entry. Maybe a little lower would be awesome to come down to about 450, maybe at around 420, right around here. If I can drag my average cost down through a few DCAs, that would be epic, because you can see how it improves your risk to reward ratio. In fact, it also improves your gains, your target profitability, right? You end up being able to double your money on an entry in a very modest expansion to the upside. Because if this expands, just look back at other altcoins, they've moved pretty hard, right? It could be that we see Celestia wake up one day and eventually move. So that's the thing, guys. When is Celestia going to do it? Timing is very difficult. I think right now it's okay to build a bit of a margin position to hold to see if this thing starts to wake up. I see a good amount of volume. I see a potential bounce out of the zone as we get comfortable in this structural pattern. Eventually, we start looking for better risk to reward ratios as we get close back to the bottom of the structure. All right, guys. If I've offered you any value here, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. I'll be live tonight at 8 p.m. EST talking about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.